What's going on, y'all? Neo Synapse for the Superpowered Review, bringing you another Destiny video. The Destiny free April update will drop tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, and it's going to require a little space on your hard drive. PS4, we're talking about 1.7 gigs, a little bit over. PS3, about 1 gig, slightly over. Xbox One, a little bit more than PS4, 1.7 gigs, but a little bit more. And the Xbox 360, 793 megabytes. Make sure you leave enough room for the goodies and put your machines in standby mode if you're not going to be around. Bungie did 3 live streams over the last 3 weeks detailing the new things you'll be able to do, the new things you'll be able to earn, and sandbox changes across PvP and PvE. We covered the things to do in a video a couple weeks ago, link in the description, but we didn't cover the things to earn, nor did we cover the sandbox changes, so we're going to go over that really quickly. So as far as things to earn, a couple of points that stood out to me. You can now change your HUD. The HUD opacity is now an option to play around with in the settings, and that includes completely off. So you can make it so that it's kind of visible, you can make it so it's super visible, and you can make it so that you can't see it at all, which is good for people who want to do things like movies or things like that with Destiny footage, trailers, that kind of thing. The abandoned quest kiosk is now in the reef, as well as on the or in the tower, so you can check that out as well. You don't need, or you don't have to go to the tower in order to access that. And we're going to be getting some new gear. The thing I was most interested in as far as the aesthetics is the Taken look that we saw in a lot of the trailers, and I've been asking for this for a long time. Unfortunately, it is not a shader. The Taken look is gear. It's called the Desolate line, and it's available after completing a match made in Prison of Elders at level 41. We talked about the Prison of Elders and things like that in that things to do video. But you earn the Desolate line, level 41 match made PoE, by completing the weekly Crucible activity. And it's also available from the Sterling Treasure Box. It drops at level 3, but it can be infused. The Taken looking weapons that we saw in some of those trailers and things, they drop in the new Winter's Run Strike that we talked about in that video as well. After you collect all the pieces of that armor, you get a Taken Jitter emote. So basically, when you see the Taken there kind of look like they're pop locking and what have you, you'll get that emote. So your Guardian will be able to do that too, but that's once you've collected all the pieces. Another thing that is kind of cool, I like it, is there's going to be a new set of gear that you can add glows to. And it's a per armor piece addition, which means you can put a glow of different color on each piece of armor. And there are 4 colors, white, yellow, blue, red. So you can have 4 different colors on you, or all the same, whatever you want to do. And it looks pretty cool, the little glow. And you can add that to the weapons too, which is pretty cool. New ships, including a Taken ship. I do not like the ship that they chose to make Taken. I would have preferred if they made the raid ship Taken, because that's like my favorite ship, or even some other ship. But the ship that they chose, I don't really like the style of it. That's not to say that it's impossible that a different ship can be earned somehow, one of the secret things or what have you, but for now it's just whatever ship that is. Infusion is now 1-to-1. So let's say you get that level 3 Desolate line gear, and you have a 330 head or chest or whatever the gear piece is. You infuse that into the level 3, and it goes straight to whatever level it was that you're putting into it. So there's no incremental jumps, based on the light level of the gear you're infusing. But what happens is whatever the level of the gear you're putting into the gear that you want to keep, that's the level that new piece of gear will be. Also, we're getting more vault space. There's going to be an extra page for, excess. So it's not going to be just weapons or just armor or whatever. It's basically whatever you need space for is going to fit on that page. Some of the old weapons from year 1, the legendaries, they're going to be updated, and those will drop from legendary engrams. So some of the ones that you might have been missing from year 1, not the raid stuff, but those will be updated to current tier. Not all of them, just a few of them. Let's see. There's going to be new emotes and dances that you can buy from the vendor there. Of course, there's a lot of people talking about, pay to win and all that. You're always going to find that, but it's there. You buy it or you don't buy it. But yeah, that's basically, those are the main things that I want to talk about as far as the visual updates or the things to earn. But now let's talk about the sandbox changes. So overshields, that's the shield you get when you revive. When you get revived, they're less powerful now when you get revived. So it doesn't take as much damage to eat through the shield once you get revived. You must be closer in order to revive someone than currently speaking, and it takes longer to revive. And even with quick revive, you can't sprint revive, so you can't run through and continue running and expect the person will be revived. You have to stop or slow down in order for that to come through. If you die during a round, it'll take 7 seconds to revive, to be ready for revive, which is up from 5. And each additional time within the round that you die, it'll add another 7 seconds to the timer. So it's really starting to punish you for dying. This is basically for like anything that has revives in it. With the exception of Mayhem, you will spawn with special ammo again. That's another thing. They're bringing back special ammo. But the change that they're making, and this is because people were finding that loophole with Icebreaker and with sidearms, the change that they're making is that special ammo will spawn 3 minutes into the match and then 2 minutes later. So even though you spawn in with special, it's not going to take a longer time for you to get special from the map itself. As far as heavy, is only going to spawn one time, and that's 5 minutes into the match. For trials, it's going to remain how it is now as far as the first time it spawns, but it's never going to spawn again. It's just going to be one time. Also, more legendary items are going to drop now. And as far as Iron Banner, legendary drops are now going to be Iron Banner drops instead. They try to make it all Iron Banner. If you get to rank 5, by the way, in Iron Banner, it's going to net you a 320 Ghost or Artifact. So the next Iron Banner that comes around, if you're not 320 yet, that's a way, if you don't have a 320 Ghost or Artifact, that you can level up. And there'll be other 320 things in there as well. Also for Iron Banner, the bounty that requires you to get 2,500 points, it's now 1,500 points and a win. So that's good. As far as weapons, changes gonna be made here for auto rifles. The high rate of fire auto rifles are going to get a damage reduction, and the low rate of fire auto rifles are going to get a damage increase. Pulse rifles, low rate of fire, damage increase. Hand cannon is going to get an ammo inventory increase, so you're not going to get more in the mag, but you'll have access to more. Fusion rifles, stability increase across the board, so your projectiles won't scatter as much as they are right now. Sniper rifles are harder to close range snapshot someone with. They're doing that by increasing the range when you're zooming in, so that basically instead of seeing 10 feet in front of you with some of these sniper rifles, they're going to push that out a little bit, so it's harder for you to do close range stuff, at least the close range stuff that you're doing now with a lot of these sniper rifles. But they are increasing the accuracy that comes with that increased range, so that's a good compromise. They added 2 frames of zoom time, so when you're from holding the weapon to looking through the scope, they added 2 frames, so it takes longer for you to get centered in that scope. Snapshot was a perk that was supposed to help with that, or does help with that, generally speaking. But in order to make that that change effective, they're dropping the percentage that it helps with zoom from 30 to 20, and reducing the stability of sniper rifles across the board. Now, the one primary that everybody is using, based on Bungie's charts and graphs, there is the Meta multi-tool. And it's no longer going to have high caliber rounds. So basically, they're making it a little easier for you to go toe to toe with a multi-tool. For the Suros regime, the spin up kicks in later to offset the damage increase that all auto rifles got, and the focus fire gets a ranged buff. So you'll now be able to max out the range stat for the Suros regime. Whatever the max is for the Suros regime, you'll now be able to get that if you do the focus fire and you do the little buffs that are in the trees there. Hawk Moon got an increased range to make it, I guess, useful again. And the Last Word perk now has decreased damage. So the Last Word still works the same, but that perk now has decreased damage. Apparently, people were two-shotting people from the hip because they were getting 2 headshots. They were finding it easy to get 2 headshots, and with that perk, it made it, devastating. Anyway, the Thorn, still year 1, has minimized dot damage and now only pulses 4 times. The Poison Screen effect is less intense. So they want to make it so that the point of using the weapon is to get people off of you, gives you breathing room. So that's still in effect, but it's not going to kill you as easily. All right. Now, the Icebreaker, which is also remaining year 1, the special ammo glitch will no longer work. And that's the same glitch that you use for sidearms as well. It's not going to work for sidearms either. Handling is less and the zoom distance is farther. And they're doing changes for heavy machine guns, snipers, and shotgun ammo inventory. It's all less across the board. But in PvE, they increased the drop rate for ammo. Like when you kill an enemy and ammo drops, they increase the drop rate for that to make up for that in PvE. The Dreg's Promise, that's a pretty interesting change. The projectiles are going to track people better when you're aiming down sight. So let's see what's going to happen in the Crucible now after this. And the King's Fall weapons, all of them now reload faster. One of the last things that they talked about, was the Warlock changes. Just like how they did some stuff to Titans in the past, Warlock changes are coming in now. The Flame Shields are not going to be as strong, and they're not going to be as easy to get. Melees from other subclasses for Warlocks were also brought up a little, so people aren't just, they don't feel like they have to use one of the subclasses in order to be effective. Fireborn won't last as long. Landfall won't destroy Titan bubbles anymore, and it's not going to blind people as readily as it did before. Maybe they decreased the range on that or something. And the super doesn't last as long either, because sometimes it feels like they're just running around the whole map for half the map in that super. Now there are no real Voidwalker changes, but they did increase the benefit from the leech type abilities. So faster cooldowns and things like that. When you have that set up within the subclass, those are going to show themselves more effectively. So that's basically it. In a nutshell, I should say. The patch notes have not yet been released as of this recording. If they do, by the time I put this up, I'll try to get them into the description. But this sounds pretty good. It's a free update. A couple of things I would have done differently, but it is what it is. Get more info about the new things to do. I'll put the video that I did first a few weeks ago in the description as well. And I will see y'all next time inside the review.